Hello there. I'm not a fan of the phrase, this isn't the country that we grew up in, because generally it's used by racist, sexist, misogynistic assholes to justify being assholes and wanting to go back to a time where they weren't guilted or judged or treated like pariahs for being assholes. But I've got to admit, there is one exception to that for me. And it's going back to a point where our elected officials actually felt safe putting their hand up and going, hey, vote for me. Not just elected officials, candidates in general. I've just seen some of the security measures that are being suggested for elected officials and people who want to be elected coming up to this year's general election, and they're really kind of scary. We've always had a really good relationship with our elected officials. It's generally pretty easy to get hold of them. You might not be able to walk into the ninth floor of the Beehive, but you can certainly tweet your local MP or message them on Facebook. They have hours that you can go visit. That kind of thing makes a lot of sense. But these security measures are put in place because we're seeing an increase in these nasty, awful, horrible conspiracy theorist fuck jobs who have no idea how anything works, how selfish they are, and how nastily awful they come across to everybody else. They include security measures like being prepared for after-hour visits from somebody who wants to yell and scream at you, or possibly worse. Making sure you're not going to events or walking in public places alone, and not walking somewhere alone because of the risk of being accosted or threatened or worse. Definitely don't go to any public meetings where you don't know the organizer or the organization if it smells a little bit dodgy, or if you've never been to that particular facility before. Definitely don't go alone to any kind of public meeting. Maybe now's the time to look at security devices, for example, or a dog, or a rancor pit. There are definitely scary things happening out there, and anybody who puts their hand up to be elected is unfortunately at risk of this at the moment. And that's disgusting. That's foul. And like I said, I don't want that to be the country that I grew up in. It's certainly not the country I want my kids and my grandkids to grow up in. Now, if you are putting your hand up to be elected or you're an elected official, there's a couple of things that you can do. Make sure you make police reports for every single incident, because there needs to be a paper trail to hold these people to account. And while it might be a little bit dodgy to film these people when they're doing these kind of things, I'm all for it. I say name and shame those assholes. But you might not want to if you're dealing with, political ramifications. At the same time, make sure you've got something like a personal mace spray, a torch if you're going anywhere at night, doing what you can to keep yourself and your loved ones protected. And for those people that are sitting there watching this going, holy shit, how the fuck did we get to this? There's not really much else that we can do at the moment except what we can to keep people safe. And that means if you're going to these public meetings, make sure you go fully cognizant of what could happen and being prepared to look after people when they need to be looked after. That feels like the most Kiwi thing we can do. Not showing up on somebody's doorstep at night to threaten them.